Almost 900 years ago, in the 1130s, tens of thousands of trees were cut down in the northern part of the island of Gotland in the middle of the Baltic Sea. They were dragged out on the ice into the middle of the lake Tingstäde. Today, the so-called Bulwark, the archaeological site in Swedish called Bulwarket, is one of Gotland's most fascinating archaeological sites. The Bulwark was a huge platform, wooden platform. It was resting on the bottom sediment of the lake, and above the water there were several hundreds of buildings probably. There was a lot of buildings. And the most fascinating part is that the buildings were actually built in all three different wooden techniques that were known at that time, in the late Viking Age and the beginning of the early medieval age. There were timber joint constructions, which means that the timbers were joined in the corners of the house. There were stave constructions, which means that the planks in a timber frame was stuck into a sill in the bottom and in the top of the construction. There were also corner post constructions where the planks were lying and they were stuck in the corners of the house. In the 1920s and 1930s, a man called Arvid Zetterling, working for the military, was interested in the Bulwark. He went fishing there and realized that this was absolutely unique and fascinating. And he actually spent most of his life excavating and doing research on the site, archaeological site. He took up around 600 pieces of timber and building pieces. Some of them are still in the Historical Museum in Stockholm. Now, Arvid Zetterling was very thorough in his documentation ways. He measured everything, photographed it both from the side and above, measured and described all the materials that he took up, around 600 pieces of wood. In 1989 till 1994, Johan Rönnby excavated a small part of the archaeological site of the Bulwark. He dug a 20-meter long trench and about 2 to 3 meters wide, and he came to the conclusion in a dissertation that he wrote about the Bulwark that it had to be built in a very, very fast pace, maybe only during one winter season, and shortly after that it was abandoned due to the fact that it started to sink and collapse into the sediment of the lake. Johan Rönnby's friend and archaeologist Jonathan Adams actually made a very good reconstruction of the Bulwark, of how it might look like. In 2000, I got funding by the region of Gotland to make the site, the archaeological site of the Bulwarket, more known to the public and more open to the public. And last year, I got funding by the County Administrative Board to make a new sign at the site of the Lake Tingstäde and make a 3D model by making videos and underwater photogrammetry, and to create a 3D model of piece of the site, and also to make a new text for a new sign at the lake site. Last year, in the year 2000 and 2001, I was the participant of the Cultural Heritage Incubator at the National Board of Antiquities here in Visby, trying to make this place digitalized, the archaeological site digitalized by different means, and also more open to the public. Within the work that I was doing at the National Board of Antiquities here in Visby, was trying to make different digitalization ways, trying to make the site more open to the public simply. One way was to make drone photography from the air straight down into the lake, and we were actually able to do this perfectly. We were able to fly just above the water surface, which means that there is a possibility to make a very good photogrammetry just with a drone. You don't even have to go into the water. We're also diving. We had several diving hours and tried to make photogrammetry underwater to make different 3D models out of this photogrammetry. The next step would be to make a LiDAR mapping by flying a drone and mapping the whole site. Now, the last step of digitalizing the Bulwark would actually be to use ground-penetrating radar. I'm not really familiar with this technique yet, and it's not that common in underwater archaeology. So if there is anyone out there knowing and familiar to this technology, please do contact me. By using this digital material in the future, in the near future, we could actually reconstruct several of the houses that were built on the lake of Tingstäde. The material enables possibilities to start a scientific research project investigating the development in wooden house construction in Northern Europe.